Gone with the Wind, first published in 1936, is a romantic novel by Margaret Mitchell, who won the Pulitzer Prize for this work in 1937. The story is set in Georgia and Atlanta, the southern United States during the Civil War and Reconstruction period. The work revolves around Scarlett O'Hara, a strong Southern girl, who must find ways to survive the war and overcome the difficult life in the post-war period. The novel was adapted into a film in 1937. Gone with the Wind is a classic American epic film released in 1939, based on the novel of the same name by Margaret Mitchell. The film tells the story of Scarlett O'Hara's life in the context of the American Civil War and the Reconstruction period, depicting her resilience in the face of brutal war and social upheaval. The film won multiple Oscars, including Best Picture, and is considered one of the greatest works in cinema history, but was also controversial for its depiction of history and slavery. Main content. Setting: the American South, before, during, and after the American Civil War. Main character: Scarlett O'Hara, a resilient and ambitious young lady, struggles to survive and find her life again after the war. Relationship: the film depicts the complex and tumultuous relationship between Scarlett and Rhett Butler, a romantic and reckless character. Achievements and influence. Oscar, won 8 Oscars, including important awards such as Best Picture, Best Director and Best Actress. Legacy: recognized as one of the greatest films of all time, it had a major impact on popular culture and is listed in the United States National Film Registry. Controversy: the film has been criticized for its historical perspective and glorification of slavery, causing controversy around racial issues, according to Wikipedia. Originally, the author intended to title the novel, Tomorrow is Another Day, taken from the book's closing line. Other titles considered included, Bugles Sang True, Not in Our Stars, and Tote the Weary Load. The final title the author took from the first line of stanza 3 of Ernest Dowson's poem Non sum quillis iram boni sub brino kineri. Dancing, to put thy pale, lost lilies out of mind. Scarlett O'Hara uses the title phrase when she asks herself whether her home at Tara still stands or has been blown away with the wind that swept through Georgia. In common usage, Gone with the Wind is a metaphor for the passing of a life that existed in the South before the Civil War. When used in Dowson's poem about Kenara, the phrase Gone with the Wind refers to an emotional loss, not the same meaning as the novel's title. Plot. Gone with the Wind is divided into 5 parts. Part 1. The work is set in the American South before the Civil War, a world with luxurious cotton plantations stretching endlessly following the dreams of a noble upper-class society. The novel opens in April 1861 with the main character of the story, Scarlett O'Hara, sitting at her Tara plantation in Clayton County, Georgia, chatting with the twin brothers Brent and Stuart Tarleton who lived on the neighboring plantation. Through this conversation, Scarlett learns that her longtime crush, Ashley Wilkes, is about to get engaged to her cousin Melanie Hamilton in Atlanta. Scarlett is stunned when hearing that news and the conversation ends. She hurriedly goes to find her father, Gerald O'Hara, to verify the story, and her father advises that if she and Ashley get married, it will be a bad thing and she should marry one of the twins. Scarlett believes that Ashley intends to get engaged because he does not know she is in love with her. She decides to confess her love to him at the 12 Oaks picnic and run away with him. But things do not go according to Scarlett's plan. Ashley is affectionate with her but says that he will still marry Melanie. The uninvited guest at the party, Rhett Butler, who accidentally overhears the whole story, teases Scarlett, making her mad, which accidentally seduces Rhett. In anger and having overheard Honey Wilkes, Charles Hamilton's fiancée, bad-mouthing her, Scarlett agrees to marry Charles Hamilton, both to make Ashley jealous and to get revenge on Honey. The party ends when news comes that the American Civil War has broken out and the boys are to be drafted. Scarlett's wedding is quickly followed by 2 weeks for Charles to enlist, one day before Ashley and Melanie's wedding. A week after the wedding, Charles enlists and 2 weeks later, Ashley and the state cavalry leave. However, Charles died of smallpox at the South Carolina base before he had a chance to go to war. Later, Charles's son was born and named Wade Hampton. On Hamilton, after Charles's commander, General Wade Hampton. Becoming a widow changed Scarlett's daily life. She always wore morning clothes, did not talk animatedly or laugh loudly, and did not enjoy meeting men. Scarlett felt more pain from boredom and motherhood than from her husband's death. Her mother, Ellen O'Hara, wanted to ease her sadness and sent her to Atlanta to live with Melanie and Charles's aunt, Pittipat Hamilton. Part 2. Scarlett arrived in Atlanta in May 1862. Here, Scarlett quickly liked the hustle and bustle of the city. She was forced to volunteer as a nurse at the sanatorium but hated the job. Because she was still in mourning, she was banned from many things, including the bazaar, which many city residents attended, but in the end, Scarlett was lucky enough to attend because she was substituting for another woman whose child was sick. There, she met Rhett Butler, now a famous blockade runner, transporting essential goods to the South. Rhett Butler asked her to dance for $150 gold. Although she was in mourning, Scarlett still agreed because she longed to dance passionately at any cost to escape the boredom of a widow. From then on, the relationship between Scarlett and Rhett improved. Rhett, with his humorous nature, often teased Scarlett and tried to make her happy. However, almost the whole town hated him. Scarlett always thought only of Ashley. The situation at the front became more and more tense. The defeat of the Confederate Army at the Battle of Gettysburg marked a turning point in the Civil War and the casualties of the Confederate Army increased. At Christmas 1862, Ashley returned but contrary to Scarlett's expectations, he only cared about his wife, Melanie. The day Ashley left home to return to the battlefield, Scarlett once again confessed her love to him, hoping that he would leave his wife to marry her, but he said nothing and told her to take care of Melanie if anything happened to him on the battlefield. He hurriedly left, and for the second time, Scarlett was disillusioned. Part 3. The Civil War was getting worse and worse for the South. After the Confederate Army's successive defeats, the Union Army approached and surrounded Atlanta, forcing the city's people to evacuate. However, Scarlett and Melanie could not go with everyone because Melanie was pregnant and could give birth at any time. Because the doctors had to take care of the wounded soldiers, who had flooded the city, Scarlett had to deliver Melanie. After Melanie gave birth, Scarlett had to ask Rhett for help, and he stole a horse-drawn carriage from the army for her, but the horse was very weak. He drove Melanie and her children, Prissy, Wade, and Scarlett, away from Atlanta. However, halfway there, Rhett abandoned the others to join the Confederate Army. Before leaving, he kissed her and said he loved her, but Scarlett angrily cursed and slapped him. Scarlett returned to Tara and saw horrifying scenes. Her mother died of illness, the house was heavily damaged, most of the slaves had run away, her two younger sisters were seriously ill and bedridden, and her father, shocked by his wife's death, had also gone insane. Now Scarlett became the true owner of Tara. With her tenacious nature and practical thinking, she gradually revived Tara and did all the work, including the work that was previously done by slaves. A Yankee soldier who came to steal was shot dead by her. Melanie was still in bed after giving birth, but she still took Charles's sword to help, although she was not strong enough to lift it. This action made Scarlett admire and her feelings for Melanie now began to rise. Scarlett then took the money and horse of the slain soldier and buried him right at Tara. The war was almost over and Tara was devastated again when the Union Army arrived. A month later, the Civil War ended with a Union victory. The Confederate soldiers on their way home stopped by Tara to get food or to recover. Among them was a seriously wounded soldier named Will Benteen, who was carefully cared for by Scarlett's sister, Karine. After recovering, Will stayed at Tara and helped Scarlett get back on her feet. With Will, Scarlett's work was greatly helped. Ashley could not return immediately after the war ended because he was still a prisoner of the Union. One day, he suddenly appeared at Tara. Both Scarlett and Melanie ran out to greet him, but Will stopped Scarlett and asked her, "He is her husband, isn't he?" making Scarlett reluctantly return. Part 4. The war is over, but Tara's fate is threatened once again when the Yankee government raises the plantation taxes so that Scarlett can't pay and gives Tara to the Yankee butler Jonas Wilkerson and his wife, a white scumbag. To get the money to save Tara, Scarlett goes to Atlanta to borrow money from Rhett. Rhett is extremely wealthy but is in prison. Scarlett dresses up and visits Rhett to borrow a grave. She had almost convinced Rhett until his sharp eyes saw Scarlett's calloused hands, evidence of her hard work and her family's circumstances, and she confessed the real purpose of her visit. Rhett finally refused to lend her the money. In desperation, Scarlett came across Frank Kennedy, Sue Ellen's fiancé, who now owned a store and had a good amount of money. By lying to Frank that Sue Ellen was married to someone else, Scarlett seduced Frank into marrying her. She succeeded and got the money to save Tara. After his release from prison, Rhett lent her the money to buy another sawmill, on the condition that she not use the money to help Ashley Wilkes. Scarlett ran the sawmill very successfully, but it also brought her a lot of criticism because it was not a job for a woman. She later became pregnant with Frank's child, but continued to expose herself in public, which led to growing hatred. Not long after, Gerald died. When she returned to Tara for the funeral, she learned that her father's death was directly related to her younger sister, Sue Ellen. Will, although in love with Karine, eventually married Sue Ellen to smooth out family relations. Karine, after Brent Tarleton's death, was so heartbroken that she sent herself to a convent. After her father's funeral, Scarlett invited Ashley back to Atlanta to help her run the sawmill and prevent him from going north to find work. Ashley hesitated, but Melanie insisted, so Ashley had to follow his wife's wishes. After giving birth, Scarlett often drove the horse carriage alone to the sawmill despite being repeatedly warned of the danger. One day, she was attacked by a poor white man and a freed black man and was almost raped. Fortunately, Big Sam, a black slave who had worked at Tara, saved her in time. Frank, Ashley, and several other Ku Klux Klan men go on a revenge mission, which ends with Ashley wounded and Frank killed. Rhett, with the help of Belle Waddling, an Atlanta prostitute, sets up a story and manages to save the remaining members. Rhett's relationship with the townspeople gradually improves. After Frank's death, Rhett immediately proposes to Scarlett before she can marry anyone else. Part 5. Scarlett marries Rhett. He pampers her to the fullest and allows her to enjoy pleasures Scarlett never knew in New Orleans. It is also through Rhett that Scarlett makes new friends, Yankees and those who have become rich through speculation and fraud during the war. As a result, the relationship between Scarlett and her old friends became increasingly worse and culminated in a party where Scarlett and her husband invited the Republican governor to attend, causing the Southern upper class to completely cut off relations with the two, except for Melanie. Scarlett later gave birth to a daughter for Rhett, even though she did not want it. The baby was named Eugenia Victoria, after Queen Victoria and French Queen Eugenie. She was extremely beautiful with blue eyes, so she was given the nickname Bonnie Blue Butler, after the Confederate flag, Bonnie Blue Flag, beautiful blue flag. Rhett was extremely happy and loved his daughter very much. But because of her love for Ashley, Scarlett was determined not to sleep with her husband anymore to avoid getting pregnant again. Rhett was angry and argued constantly with her about friendship and how to raise children. He wanted his daughter to become a princess in the old Southern upper class. Then Rhett and his daughter left Atlanta for a while. In Georgia, the corruption of the Republican Party increased and caused the party's reputation to decline unexpectedly. Rhett now sided with the Democratic Party with his old friends, making the relationship between him and them better and better. In fact, he wanted to build a secure future and reputation for Bonnie, the daughter he loved infinitely. Rhett is now also famous as a father who loves his daughter very much. Melanie organized a surprise birthday party for Ashley. Melanie asked Scarlett to go to the sawmill to hold Ashley so that she could have more time to prepare. Here, Ashley and Scarlett, moved by the memory of the peaceful old days, hugged each other with pure affection, but were caught by India Wilkes, Mrs. Elsing, and Archie, Melanie's driver. Rhett learned about this from Archie but still forced Scarlett to attend Ashley's birthday with pride and courage, so as not to ruin Bonnie's future. Melanie also heard the story, but with her pure soul, she absolutely did not believe it and tried her best to defend Scarlett. Melanie trusted Scarlett wholeheartedly because of what Scarlett had done for her. Also by siding with Scarlett, Melanie caused division in her family and close friends. That night, Scarlett caught Rhett drunk. Afterwards, Rhett carried her up the stairs and the two spent a passionate night of love. Scarlett woke up alone the next morning, eager to see her husband, but Rhett avoided her. Rhett took Bonnie to London. He left, leaving Scarlett feeling guilty about what she had done to him and her two first children. She became pregnant again and for the first time felt happy about it. When Rhett returned with Bonnie, she was eager to tell Rhett, but he did not believe the love he saw in Scarlett's eyes, and he mocked her. Scarlett was so angry that she fell down the stairs and miscarried. After the accident, Scarlett had to return to Tara for a while to recuperate. Rhett discussed with Melanie how to trick Scarlett into giving the 2 sawmills to Ashley. The Republican Party was finally overthrown, and Scarlett's new friends followed. Bonnie became increasingly loved by Rhett. She loved horseback riding. One day, Bonnie had an accident while riding a horse over a fence and broke her neck. Rhett was deeply traumatized by Bonnie's death and only Melanie could help him overcome the shock. Melanie became pregnant and hid it from everyone to give birth, despite being forbidden by the doctor. But due to her weak health, she was in critical condition. Scarlett returned after receiving an urgent call from Rhett. On her deathbed, Melanie begged Scarlett to help her take care of Ashley and Beau. Finally, Melanie advised Scarlett to cherish Rhett and his feelings. Scarlett ran away and met Ashley. Only now did she realize how important Melanie was to her and that all these years, her love for Ashley was like a child reaching for an illusory moon, a love she imagined. In her despair, Scarlett thought of Rhett and suddenly realized that Rhett was the one she needed. She had gradually fallen in love with Rhett over the years, but Ashley's shadow was too big to see. Rhett was always there for Scarlett when she needed him and helped her in the most wonderful way, with his deep understanding. She hurried to find Rhett. But now he was completely cold to her. He coldly told her that the love he had for her all those years had now faded along with the indifference he received, leaving only the 2 things she hated most, pity and kindness. Shocked by what she heard, Scarlett still bravely confessed, "But I love you." Rhett calmly replied, "That is my misfortune." Then he told her that he was going away and might return to his hometown of Charleston to find the old, peaceful and beautiful days. Scarlett cried out, "Oh, my dear, what would I do if you left?" And Rhett answered in a voice full of indifference, "My dear, I don't care." Scarlett silently watched Rhett leave and now she realized that because she did not understand the 2 people she loved, she had let them both slip away. She decides to return to Tara, where she rose from nothing. With her strong and resilient personality, Scarlett believes that she can win Rhett back. No man can resist her if she is determined to conquer. The work ends with the image of Scarlett standing resolutely on the sunny porch of Tara with her familiar words of strength, "After all, tomorrow is a new day."